Item C will be approval of the minutes from our meeting on August 26th.
I move approval.
Second.
Motion and second. Are there any alterations to the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Move on to item D. Part 2, the 2020 to 2024 Capital Improvement Plan Program Draft 1. Who wants to start? Or where do we want to start?
Here, I think a lot of the items that we would need to cover have to do with the maintenance and facility repairs. So,
Okay.
Dave Webking can probably cover that with Pete's assistance as needed.
So, on your sheet there, there's an outline with exhibit reference. I'll go through them line by line. Most of this is through Pete's consultant industry, the consultant. Yeah, the consultant.
Not
Well, the cities, I
accepting
should say.
responsibility.
We tried to take the most severe rated issues, a rating of a 5 or a 4 for each of the next 3 to 4 years. And from there, we kind of wanted to list those, and I did go through with our trades individuals as well to see how they would weight them as well. So what you'll see here tonight is the McKinsey report and how it's rated for the next 4 years. The first one is traffic controls on A3, A31 on page 5. They're submitted by our electrical superintendent. This is repetitive, where we have 2 traffic controllers that we budget for that amount of about $25,000 per year. Our electrician, also our superintendent, did submit for a traffic controller software of approximately $10,000. So you can see the total value that we're asking for is $35,200 approximately. The software would help for installing and also repairing traffic controls when they are setting those up. Right now, they're currently doing it manually, so this would expedite that and make it more efficient. The second one is annual maintenance for storm sewer catch basin repair and our street division. We are asking for $110,000, and this would be for any type of storm, water type projects. Again, contingent on staffing, we have approximately 9,000 catch basins, storm sewers throughout the city that needs to be kept updated, improved. We do communicate this and work with the engineering department as well. Sanitary manhole, again, a repetitive request just for general maintenance of that, of the sanitary, $25,000, again contingent on staffing availability. The next is, we'll get into the McKinsey recommendations, was Liberty Heights Park, and that's A121 for that. The first year, it's just $182,000. With this, and I know Patrick kind of recommended some improvements as well. Here, there is a lot of aged equipment within the Liberty Heights Park. Obviously, it's listed, there's many things internally, but the steam boiler is over 50 years of age. So I guess the city would have to ask, currently right now it's used in a summer program, and they do serve food in this area. I guess, what is the long-term goal of the facility? Because currently, right now, the city's not really using the internal, but the school district, West Allis, West Milwaukee. So I guess if we did want to make the long-term commitment, we'd have to decide how much monies that we would want to put in there. So it is a large amount, and we're just going through there now that it's rusted, the electric panels deteriorated to the point, the boiler, it's not reliable. So the next is Reservoir Park. We're looking for $9,900 approximately. There was also electrical panel issue where it was visibly rusting. And then there's a mechanical pump that needs replacement. Low pressure sodium, streetlights, something of a common topic,
Yeah.
especially last night.
It's gonna need more than $200,000.
So with this is the materials, this is the parts that our electrical superintendent to replace, and I guess I would, the 2 circuits, it's unknown, with Kale Consulting Firm. Right now, we're in the northeastern section of the city. The next 2 circuits that will be given to the city workforce, I guess, is the number of poles, controllers, so on and so forth. So we're just going with the $200,000 with the hope that, you know, it may be over that amount because it's
Say
unknown
the
at
F1
this
is
time.
actually a lot lower. F1, the one that just got
Yep.
done over here, for just the equipment, other than the 44,000 in poles, because we usually don't replace poles, we usually just use the same ones.
For the bases.
Materials were like 33,000 only for F1, so
Okay.
that probably is gonna get you pretty far.
So a lot of, and I do give credit to our electrical superintendent and his staff of reusing, recycling.
Hope so.
Concrete bases, the poles, so he is being lean on those type of projects. The next is the municipal yard. Here's another, I guess, consideration, given the amount of monies that's projected by McKinstry of $280,000. This is the main facility, the large portion of the building, and much has to do with the electrical panels in the lower level of the building, of the facility. The interior is the flooring, just the general upkeep of the flooring of $120,000, $84,000 for exterior, for tuck pointing. So I guess that's a decision that the committee will have to make on how much monies or what are options in the future for that. The next one is the overhead garage. This is something, garage door under A12. This is routine maintenance, and it is over or near $10,000, so we wanted to put that in because of the frequency of the doors being used, will need to be repaired. A110, this is called our Yonka building. This is the lower building on the south side of the lot. That's right next to Beloit Road. $161,000 was identified for that. Is here, it is used for cold storage only. So yes, lighting could be improved, windows could be improved, doors could be improved. How much money do we want to put into a building? So the municipal yard north garage under reference A111, $5,500 for now, what they projected. This is where the area for storage, our weld shop, mechanical area. The third year is projected, that's when they identified the roof. If you remember, there was monies available, I believe, help me out, Pete, was it last year or a certain amount of monies that was used for the consulting? But they are projecting by 2022 that we'll have to do something with the roof. Currently, right now, we are patching that roof off and on, and as recently as last week, there were leaks in it, so we're just repairing that it's ongoing. The municipal yard transfer station, there's a suggested amount of $212,000. Here, there's a large amount of roof repair that is needed before we make any internal improvements within the facility. Lighting, office area, restrooms, heat, we have to repair the roof. Again, that's a question on how much monies do we want to put into a facility that's aging and declining. But again, we use that only for transferring refuse, so it is working. so.
Mr. Chair.
Yep.
For any of these items for the maintenance, are any of them impeding your ability to do any of the work?
The transfer station right now is currently working, but the roof, there's a large hole in the roof, and it's going to take some amount of money to repair that.
What about the north garage or the Yanka building or? the-
North garage, with the current budget that we proposed in our facilities, building and sign, we increased the maintenance, asking so we can go ahead and put replacements of the roof and defer that until later. Yes, we're not going to stop repairing when the leaks are there, but we're trying to increase our maintenance requests so we can go ahead and, as these repairs are happening due to the older facilities, we can repair them. So,
Is the overhead door something that's just a matter of time before it doesn't work?
yeah, usually it's just a matter of the trips with those, and 3 out of the 4 have been replaced. The next is sanitation street office remodel. That's something that was requested, but that will be addressed, I think, at a later time. It's nothing urgent, so that was for $10,000. Next was A29. It's an annual request by our forestry superintendent. Ongoing baling the ash borer, emerald ash borer. So this is ordering trees, approximately 200 replacement trees, and the amount that's requested is $18,700. Our most recently, the area that is from 92nd to about 101st Street, south of Greenfield Avenue, that's where Mike and his staff has concentrated and removed a lot of ash trees there. And this has helped replace those with different type of species of trees. So we currently have about 3,000 trees that are ash trees. So slowly, as that EAB type treatment wears off, we do have to replace and remove those trees. Boulevard landscape bed request is approximately $13,700. We're trying for all the main entry points within the city, trying to enhance and also streamline and make it more lean. So we used to have all those flower beds throughout the boulevards. We're consolidating those on the end of those boulevards. Beautification will be enhanced, but also to maintain these, it's a little bit quicker because you can concentrate on these areas. So of the 30 boulevards, 12 has been enhanced throughout the city. I think you can see that on 76 South, North, Beloit Road as well. Police facility on A113, it's $153,000. There's a large amount of a bulk storage makeup air unit. And speaking with Jeff Dewey, our HVAC technician, he cannot recommend replacement of that. So right now, the amount of money is $153,000, leaving about $10,000 for improvements elsewhere with the AC units, the unit heater. So this is one area that could be lowered automatically. I know we have that issue with the chiller currently right now. We are trying to defer that until fall, where we can potentially not have to rent out a chiller, in the hot weather, so we can replace that. So we have received those 3 quotes as well, so.
Mr. Chair.
Rebecca?
So if you don't replace it, is it something that's not needed? I don't know.
Well, they're saying here that the makeup air unit is possibly abandoned, and Jeff Doobie was saying the bulk storage is just a storage tank.
Oh, so you don't need to,
Doesn't need to be
Okay.
replaced, at some point in time if there's rust or what have you, but not for the amount that they're asking for. It's relatively, it's just there, it's since when was was it built 1998 or so? Let's see here. The next is form for fire administration building. This is one that was in error. There was original amount of $25,100. It should be, the correct amount is $79,064.
What's that one again?
$79,064
Okay, that was-
for fire administration
Yeah.
in lieu of the $25,400.
Yeah.
This would be for a generator, proposed generator, but Pete, you're working on that. I didn't know if you needed like extra monies for wiring.
Will.
Will it go on to the following next year? But yes, you're addressing that, but exterior finishes, 25,000 is for tuck pointing. This is decorative panels, starting to be exposed to salt and wear throughout the building there, so it would be just to enhance that, so it's more of a decorative nature. Fire station 1, $0 is recommended there.
Hey, it's an easy one.
Let's approve that one.
Yeah.
Our carpenter did identify that there was a couple outside doors. One has currently been replaced, but that's something that, again, within our proposed budget of increasing the maintenance, we can, correct that. Fire station 2, $38,200. It's proposed, and there again is the generator for the amount of $35,000. Pete, is that?
That's not underway, so, but,
Is that enough?
yeah, I think this would be fairly straightforward, I hope.
Okay. Here at some point in time, a couple years, we'll have to look at either repairing the roof or replacing that roof. But that's
21.
down the line. Fire station 3, $67,178. Here, mostly tuck pointing for the exterior. A lot of the floor issues have been resolved internally by the fire personnel. They have installed those themselves. There have been issues with the HVAC, which McKinstry did not identify within their report, but it's more a comfort issue. But in speaking with our HVAC technician, if it was going to be totally redesigned, it'd be anywhere from $100,000 to $150,000, roughly.
So you're saying fire station
3.
3 should have, instead of 15,000, should be 150,000?
Well, it's a comfort, and it's one of those where it's working, but I know Chief Pooler has indicated that there was issues with comfort. It was going to extreme cold throughout the evening. So a lot of that is just how it was designed. So yeah, potentially that could be up, exceeding up to 150,000 at the very most.
You're showing the generator, but that's actually done too.
We took off 35,000, yeah. So it went down to 32,148, I think, right? The other one's going up to 150.
I guess.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
The fire station maintenance improvements went from 67,148 to 32,148, because last time when we talked about that, the generator's already been taken care of, and
Oh,
that's
okay.
35,000. But apparently the HVAC needed another 0.
Yeah. Let's not do that anymore.
Not an even.
No, not.
The health department, $42,000 and 66. Just tuck pointing is the major concern there, but most of the front windows have been replaced due to that. Accident.
Look on the bright side, Dave.
Yeah.
We got new
We did,
windows.
and
Woohoo, our
insurance
capital
company paid
budget.
for most of it, so. Our fans, exhaust fans, are $4,500 a piece, and that's something that we can do in-house.
Jeff, you said the windows were replaced because our insurance paid for it, but then they go
It was an accident.
then they go
Yep, we paid
subrogate
the
with
deductible.
them or something, okay.
Well, the person, well, if they have insurance. Next is the senior center, looking at $49,500. There we have more electrical panels, of approximately $29,000. And then you have a variety of heaters, cabinet heaters that have to be replaced. And in the boiler room, an expansion tank, comes to about $50,000. Some of the work that they're projected here are outside rates, but again, we could buy the parts and do that internally as well to address this. Library, this is probably one of the more prominent needs within the city, is the $89,000 request for tuck pointing. Something that the library is in need of, so that is one of the major priority requests that we have. With that, let's see here. Again, that's 89,012. Next is Historical Society. The original request is for $128,200. This is another facility like Liberty Heights, where the city will have to determine how much monies they'll want to incorporate into the facility to keep it going. Because it is a historical site, any improvements will have to be approved by the Historical Society for that, but the major
Possibly the state.
repair is tuck pointing. There's a lot of cracks within the walls there that our carpenter is indicating that the tuck pointing would be the major repair that is needed. And once that is, then you can do the internal improvements. Windows, there are windows there that have storm windows on it, but to upgrade everything for $80,000, he said they're solid windows, but it'd be based on what is beautification rather than need. So all of that, tuck pointing would be needed. That would be the most important, I guess, urgent matter. That's something that was not on McKinstry's list. But we're looking at, anywhere from 60 to 70,000 at a roundabout average. So there are other issues there, so I'm looking at with tuck pointing and looking at whatever else that's identified there. The $128,000 would be used entirely for that, for the improvements.
So I'm sorry, Dave, are all of those things, were you saying that only the 78 was really the main thing?
Yeah, the 78 windows, it's not really needed. They rated, our staff rated that what we have there is good if you want to beautify the type of windows. But the more urgent is tuck pointing, and they're saying anywhere from over $50,000 roughly for the tuck pointing. I guess there's a chimney issue as well.
So that 78 is for the windows and the tuck pointing?
It's just for windows.
So where's the
And-
tuck pointing?
Tuck pointing, we didn't include it here. That's with Tom Cafish, went there recently.
So it's not in this list?
Right. So he was saying around $50,000 if we want to trade for the windows and use that monies for tuck pointing.
Got it.
Jefferson School substation, A124. The roof was replaced a few years back, so that amount of money of about $2,500 can be removed. Otherwise, the transformers, these will be replaced as we go from high voltage to low voltage. So a lot there is, I would kind of leave as the status quo, because we are trying to convert high voltage to low voltage. As, the main thing is keeping the rain out of these electrical, with the transformers, and we have a pretty new roof on that, just general upkeep. So that is one that we could probably save the amount of money that's requested of $40,000. Liberty Heights substation of approximately $6,800. Again, we're trying to replace from high voltage to low voltage. We only have one transformer in that facility that is needed. So I would say we're just buy time and.
Is that what's in the northwest corner of the park?
Yep. Yeah, by that hill there.
Can that
Brick
be
building.
consolidated into any other structure, or it has to be a standalone structure?
Consolidated, well, with that transformer there, we can't move it.
Yeah,
Can't move it? Oh, okay.
it's contaminated.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just checking.
Yep. City Hall maintenance is the next on A108.
Can I ask one more question on the Liberty Heights? So in the 2020 plan, it talks about door and hardware and lighting. It doesn't talk about a transformer or high versus low?
There's a variety of transformers in there, and speaking with our electrical superintendent, Dave Young, he said they're only using one transformer in that facility. There's one tub that they need, so he said soon, as we go from A3 circuit and to the next circuit, it may be removed and we don't need that facility, that substation.
He's keeping it as a backup, right?
Yes.
One of the other transformers goes.
No,
We
I see.
would salvage it,
Yeah,
you're right,
right.
yep. So the $6,800, Peggy, I guess I'm recommending to write it out and,
But not to use it for doors and hardware and lighting.
correct.
Got it.
City Hall maintenance, a large amount was recommended, 1.7 million or 1.8 roughly. That had a lot to do with the HVAC system within the City Hall. A variety amount of electrical panels throughout the building. There is a concern regarding the IT unit. It's approximately 50 years of age. So our HVAC person did indicate that a consultant would need to be brought in if we did elect to correct that and update that HVAC, that cooler. So that's a decision, I guess, how much monies you want to put into electrical panels, the air handling unit. There's a variety of unit heaters that have been identified as well. Something that we could probably wait and do internally, that's always an option, but the larger amount of the return fan that they identified, as well as the air handling unit, would recommend to be contracted out, and that's roughly $460,000 that they had projected. Pumping station update, form reference A26. This is $100,000. It's based on the conclusion of the Baxter Woodman consulting firm. They're evaluating our pumping station at the water reservoir. A lot of this is being delayed due to how we are going to, in the future, operate that reservoir. So if we can increase our water supply using different locations throughout the city, getting it from different areas of the city of Milwaukee, we can reduce the number of pumps that we have within this pumping station. Instead of 4, maybe we could only require 2 or 1 or none at all. So with that, we're kind of holding on to, the $100,000 in case we got to replace the roof, generator, which may be needed, which we don't have in that area, so. Lincoln Park meter pits, A127. Here, our water superintendent's in contact with the owner of the trailer park here. Many, many years ago, we have allowed the trailer park, the patrons there to have their own meters rather than a single meter for the whole park. This has caused a lot of problems for billing, replacement of the meters, freezing up, thawing. Usually that's the homeowner's responsibility, in this case, the trailer park owner. Mike Brovka is working with the attorney's office and trying to look at that agreement. And there's new ownership there now where they are being more cordial and receptive of having a main meter at that trailer park. So that would eliminate a lot of work, with our staff, reading the meters, repairing, thawing, billing problems, so on and so forth. So installing these meter pits, there's 2 to 4 that's recommended. We're looking at approximately $60,000. Work order software, again, that's with AssetWorks. 2020, we're looking at $55,000. And then for the equipment, did Jim Lou go through those? Okay. There's one change, and I think Peggy, you heard that from Mike Brovka regarding the hydro excavator went from 63,000 to 70,000, which is a more recent, I guess, bid from today. So, and that is on page 15 of 438, 2005 vacuum trailer. $70,000 would replace the $63,500 amount. Is there any questions on the vehicles, the request there that Jim provided?
Anybody have any questions? All right. That wraps you up. That's it? That's it. All right.
Do you want to mention, we do have a little information on the streets,
Okay. Pete, or what?
Utilities too.
and utilities.
All right, we got our fine tooth comb and we went through the utilities, sanitary, the storm, the water. Spent the whole week thinking about exactly what we needed to put in. So all of the utilities went down, at least $1 million. The water went down, the old one, to 1.7 million. Storm went down to 1.6 million. Sanitary went down to 2.8 million. So it was at least $1 million off of all 3 of them.
I'm sorry, what page are you on? Sorrel?
I'm on
Is that the?
New handout tonight?
Yeah. We didn't-
Maybe on
You don't have that.
Oh,
So,
that's why I can't find it.
That's why you can't follow along.
This is kind of a separate rendition of this, so it's-
That's all right, keep going, Pete. It's all in the right direction.
Okay.
Utilities went down by.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
So page 7. On page 7, the storm utility went from 2.59 million down to 1.695 million. Water went from 2.9 million down to 1.7 million. And on page 8, or on page 9, storm, the sanitary went from 3.59 down to 2.8 million.
What are we gonna do with all that savings?
Borrow. Not borrow, it's perfect.
sorry, what did the stormwater go down to?
1.695. And streets went down a little bit as well. Where's that? Let's see. Well, it's apples to oranges here. The streets went down about 100,000 too. Page 5.
Any questions? All right. What do we have next?
Well, I
Can I get a,
I just included the playground inspection results so people would have an idea of some of the maintenance that needs to be done, but I don't believe we have any costing on those because we just received that
Correct. yeah.
last week. So just for information purposes
we have a,
at this
And if I
point.
May, like Rebecca will kind of communicate, McKinley,
Yes,
a lot of the major ones is involving the property McKinley Park.
yeah.
When you say major, do you mean tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands?
No, I'm just thinking maybe 10 to 15,000, you know, for replacement of different devices there. Anytime you're speaking with the mulch, it's gotta be ADA approved type mulch. There's some,
I didn't know there was ADA mulch until just now.
It's the size.
Expert on that.
Yeah, I know. I don't do that kind of disability work, no.
That's why,
Yeah.
when we did the last review of the insurance, the last time I saw the report, when we started the campaign to do all the different park renovations, we cleaned up a lot on those, and one of the things was removing the mulch and going with the pads, because it's hard to maintain that mulch to that level, and it gets all over the place.
Yeah, sure.
This is when you're on a swing to kick it versus, so we're trying to,
use your upkeep.
yeah,
Is that in or out?
more expensive to put the pour in place down, but
Yeah. How it always is, you spend more money up front to save money later on.
But at the end, it allows the park to be, I think, used better, because in spring, that area seems to melt the snow, and I think we're getting good reviews on those ones that we've improved, so.
Mr. Chair, I think, I'm not sure if there's any more questions on the 2020 program. We could certainly go through that, but I think we as staff would like to go through and make some recommendations and some funding options and bring that back to the committee at another meeting.
I was gonna ask if I'm assuming we have a gap at this point.
Yeah,
Usually
like
it's a rather significant
15
gap, and
15 million?
where it's at, and then, so we'll work offline on whittling it down and then come back for
Yeah.
another meeting.
Yeah, so maybe we could set another, because we don't have another meeting set.
Correct.
Maybe in a week or maybe 2 weeks, possible.
Like we did last year with that, we don't have any funding for this, decide if it's in or out, that seemed to work pretty well.
That whittling process?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Can I ask one question of Dave? Of all the items you mentioned, is there any one that stands out as this might be self-evident, but the priority?
Mr. Chair?
I'll just say Liberty Heights, again, the use and the future use, given the condition of the building that I just recently seen, and maybe we should take a tour of that, that's a priority. But again, what's the future use for that area? 2 is the library, given the age of the building, to keep and maintain it. I think 1988, 89. So the tuck pointing had to be worked on. Reservoir Park, there were some electrical panels that were dire need of replacement. The Historical Society, just based on the condition of the tuck pointing, the windows, like we mentioned, are, again, what's there is, we feel is adequate, but there's also like lighting issues, if there's improvements that you want to do within fire suppression, that sort of thing. That'd be the major. And City Hall, obviously, it's just major with the air return that's going down to IT, where they're located now, that's quite aged. The overall HVAC, the air return in City Hall was the large amount of costs.
Thank you.
Rebecca, did you have anything? Or were you going to answer Patrick's?
No, I was just gonna say, one of the considerations we were talking about is perhaps putting a contingency fund aside, so if there, anything broke down, that fund could be utilized for fixing it, because we're in a flux of making some decisions about properties, so that might be an option. But that's all I was
Okay,
gonna mention.
thank you. So then as far as the next meeting date, is Tuesday the 10th a possibility?
Seattle, I believe.
Skype in.
Skype in.
A
You're gonna be in
Community
Seattle?
Development
Maybe the
Authority
next week.
meeting.
Yeah, it might be
Oh, it's
CDBG.
CDA.
No,
Next
the
week?
CDA's been canceled.
Oh, we don't have one.
Is that a tight window for you, though?
That might be kind of tight.
Yeah.
Do it with that emergency government training goes to 6:30 on the 18th. I don't know if that would want to meet after that.
September 18th?
Mm-hmm.
Better put that in the family calendar. What time was that again? I have it on my work phone.
4:30 to 6:30, or 4 to 6:30.
Okay.
Otherwise, the 16th, we had the council on the 17th, and there's a committee of the whole meeting already at 6 o'clock, I believe. But, so we'd probably want it to be earlier in the week, because then we need to work things into the budget. That,
If we do it on Monday, my dear wife is in Minneapolis, and I have to get my son somewhere at 7:30.
Yes. I concur.
Basketball tryouts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
meet at 5:30? Can everyone meet at 5:30 on the
Sure,
16th?
yes.
I think that works. Does that give you enough time?
Yeah.
What's our goal to have this done by?
With the budget, probably.
I was gonna say, if the budget gets presented, I think it's the 13th that it has to go to the packet.
October or?
October, yeah. So if we do pretty much on the night of the 16th, a couple hours should give us plenty of time, or an hour and a half, and then maybe we come up with one more draft that we pass around by email.
Mhm. I think that's what we did last year.
It is. Everybody kind of chimed in that way. Because I don't know if you remember, but last year there were the extra columns, all the funding columns that we added. So like the police cars go in the budget, some of the public works equipment goes in the budget, some of these other things that are like 9,000 and things, like the Reservoir Park one and things like that. I'd say anything that's like 10 or 15 or less, we should try to just build into the budget as long as it's a priority. And then we can leave capital just truly for the big things. And then, you know, we have some reserve funds and different things that we can assign to the priorities. And then that's what we did last year, was just come up with, hey, here are the things we don't have funded. So we first went through and said which ones go to a different year, and then figure out the funding source after that. And I think after the meeting, we just had a few funding sources. So how about, Mayor, from your perspective, what do you see in here that's really important? Like the Burnham Point, is that a high priority? I know we're doing a lot of stuff there right now.
Yeah, it is, because a lot of people and departments are really committed a lot of time to that, and I don't want it to just become a plan that sits on a shelf. But at the same time, depending on how the weekend goes and what we hear from all the various proposals that are out there in a temporary nature, you know, depending on what the neighborhood and the businesses there embrace will determine the cost.
Yeah.
So it's entirely possible there could be a little bit of reduction there. Or it could be a 2-year implementation as opposed to a 1-year, if that works.
Patrick, you said that would be something that would be CDBG eligible?
Burnham? Yeah.
Is that
I think I already started drafting our 2020 CDBG budget, and I did put something in there. I did put money, just temporary hold for Liberty Heights in terms of a layout. And the one that, I can't remember if I had Copper Root in here, but that would be one that we wouldn't pursue at this time. So,
Have Railroad Park.
huh?
We have the Railroad Park.
Yeah,
Is that a priority?
no. I did make an initial, how can I say, email over to the rec department, just at how they use the Liberty Heights Pavilion. I don't know if this is the time, but I think it's a broader discussion that should be discussed, and I think we use it as a city, and then I know the newly formed Liberty Heights Neighborhood Association has a interest in that pavilion as well,
Yeah,
so,
they're almost 24 hours old.
yeah.
Passed last night.
So what if we put a placeholder in for that in 2020, and then in, let's just say, 6 months throughout the planning process, we figure out that we can't do it? Can we then perhaps reallocate the money, and if we don't have anything in 20, save it till 21, or would we put those funds at risk of
It
having
has-
to go back?
It has to be allocated to something.
Okay. We should have a backup. If we have that in there, we should add a backup too.
I mean, if it stays in that category and we decide, but we want to do it in 21, it can stay in that fund until the next year.
What else do
It's
you
just a-
see here? What else do you see in the 2020 plan that would be a good replacement? Like, I know Burnham Point's up there in Liberty Heights. Is there anything else in here that's a good CDBG project?
Splash pad instead of
Well,
the
yeah.
pavilion.
I think we would wait on the splash pad, because one of the newer things at the park is the actual wading pool. I mean, I hate to age myself, but that was the first project I worked on when I came to the city. So, I mean, it just can't be, 17 years ago. But it's amazing that it can wear out in that amount of time. But I would be more concerned about maintaining the pavilion of some sort than the waiting, just keeping the wading pool at this point. At least there's a nice recreational amenity there.
What about the senior center stuff? I know there's I mean, I don't know if these are projects that are high priority, but we have 50,000 for maintenance and improvements and 124 parking lot. Are those good CDBG prospects?
I'd like to review that. I gotta just read each of the sheets a little bit. Normal maintenance is not a thing that CDBG, city maintenance is clear not something that CDBG can do. But if it's an improvement of some sort or broadens the service, then you can do it. So, the one that did catch my eye and you identified it as a priority is the Historical Society. Because historical preservation is a key thing under community development block grant funds. The only thing is that property's on the National Register, if I remember right, and that triggers, you have to do the improvements in a line with Section 106, which can be done. You gotta get it all approved by the state historical preservation officer before you can do the work. So like replacing a window, it'll have to be into the historic quality of that window.
So perhaps more expensive, probably restoration.
Perhaps. And it would trigger prevailing wage.
So could you perhaps maybe do that like in the next week or so? Just kind of see if you see anything else in here that would be CDBG eligible?
We do have our block grant committee meeting next week to approve funding for 2020, so.
Any questions, Peggy?
How about from council? Any priorities that you see?
I really didn't. It's just, there's a lot of money flying around here.
Yeah.
Sorry, that wasn't fair.
Oh, no, it was absolutely fair.
So my thoughts are kind of the opposite of a priority, but it was already identified of, before we spend money on City Hall and the Public Works Building, we gotta figure out a plan. But everyone in this room already is aware of that, so that's pretty much redundant. I think tree planting is something that's important. We've gotten made a lot of headway on that. There's been a lot of improvement on that. Even in my neighborhood, we need to continue tree planting. That's a minor thing, but it's important. It was on NPR today, for all you NPR listeners out there, about the importance of trees, which we all know about.
One of my most frustrating experiences at the county board was when they sank in tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to repair the annex parking structure.
Ah.
And then within a year, the annex was being torn down as part of the resurfacing and the redoing of that.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's hard to watch as a citizen. I can't imagine a board member.
yeah, yeah. That's when my hair started falling out. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Do we want to touch on items 4 or 5 at all, or are those, nothing's new on those? Then if there is nothing else, we can adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.